onto the start-finish straight, and the 6 prototypes are beautifully lined up with Harry Tincknell right alongside Pipo Derani and Ricky Taylor, Tristan Vautier and Olivier Pla, with the green flag is in the air, and there's a big break behind from the GTDs trying to get in between the 2 Corvettes as the 6 DPIs go through the first couple of corners, and they've played the game, but the Corvettes are eased out by the pole-sitting GTD. Richie Highstand for the car bomb with Peregrine Racing Audi. The black and green machine goes ahead of the GTs. GT Le Mans down towards turn number 3, round the outside for the number 5, the dark grey Mustang sampling. Tristan Vautier making up a couple of positions. He's up into 3rd place. It's Magnussen leading from pole. There's a touch further back, and it's the 76 Compass car that has got the worst of it. And that NSX is struggling, looks to be damaged on the right hand side. There's debris on the track as well. We're staying green at the moment. I think it was the Allegra Motorsports car that got into them. Oh, down the inside actually, the bright green number 19 Lamborghini was there, and that was the, if you like, the meat and the sandwich for Misha Goikberg and the GRT Grasser Racing team, and then moved across into the AMG. We've stayed green though, and at the front of the field, Magnussen in the sort of putty colour, just off-white, bit of a grey, crayon-y type colour. Crosses the line in the 0-1 in position 1. Second, the red and white Pipo Derani driven Whelen Engineering Cadillac. And third, in Motor City, it's a 1-2-3 for Cadillac as Tristan Vautier fought his way up to 3rd position. Then it's Tincknell for Mazda Motorsports, who started on the outside of the front row in that number 55, mostly white car with the red and dark blue striping. Then Ricky Taylor for the Konica Minolta Acura, the black and blue machine, and Olivier Pla makes up the top 6 in the Indy 500 winning MSR with Curb Agajanian team. This time their sports car outfit running the Acura number 60. Top 4 breaking away, then a little gap back to Ricky Taylor as the first few laps, Jeremy Shaw, are in the book at the Chevrolet Sports Car Classic. Little bit of AMG on the track as they come out of turn 6 and down the long back straight towards 7, but I think Magnussen and Chip Ganassi will be very pleased with how those first couple of corners and indeed the first couple of laps have gone.
Yeah, very much so. A bit of Cadillac teamwork, I think, there between those two. Pipo Derani touching right behind Kevin Magnussen. They've both got a jump on Harry Tincknell. Then Tristan Vautier, brilliant move to get up to 3rd position. That car number 5 has been fast this weekend. They've struggled a bit. There's Michael de Quesada. More problems, it looks like, for the Allegra Motorsports car. A bit of damage on the left front, shedding some bodywork down the strand. It's not good. That's 2 fairly major pieces of the carbon fibre left in the middle of the road. But a great start by the Cadillacs. And here that is turn 3 about the GTD cars. Kind of one of those things. I mean, Misha Goikberg made a very stout start down the inside there. He didn't know it was 3 wide, and the guy was on the outside got kind of pinched, which was the Compass Racing car. And it's just sort of an unfortunate incident there. I think the good news is that everybody was able to continue.
So that's Jeremy Shaw with me, John Hindorf, in the Hackney Global Broadcast Centre. The 2 Corvettes have restored the pride of Motor City and the Portail. Got back ahead of a very fast starting Richard High standing in the car bomb by Peregrine Racing car. The start is under review. That's standard operational procedure, so those of you may be watching on the internet and seeing that go through on the timing screens, the Alcamel timing screens, timing partner for IMSA, and you may have seen that, but that is SOP. We've had just on 5 minutes of this race, and people are settling down. A best of 1:26.7, that will get much quicker. We've got 2 or 3 more laps, as in fact we do get a quicker lap, 1:25.007 for Special K-Mag at the front of the field. But it's an interesting run because the leaders are just coming down to turn number 3, whereas the back of the field, which is actually the 76 Jeff Kingsley driven Compass Racing Acura, which is still running, is just coming out of turn 11. So there's still the better part of half a lap. Now the DPi's will eat that up pretty quickly, but then there will be into traffic. And there are places here, our Porsche keys to the race, where you have to follow your leader through. And whether that's a slower car or a car that you're racing, there's still only one racing line in parts of this track. So you have to perform perfect passes, otherwise you're going to end up out of the race. At the moment, the closest battle on the track, Olivier Pla looking at the back of the Konica Minolta Acura ARX 05, excuse me. Those two Acuras sitting in 5th and 6th, with Ricky Taylor in the 5th position at the moment as he goes across the blue and white curves to the right hand side as he turns into the complex at 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. Still mainly blue skies above, 28 degrees Celsius in the air, 42 Celsius on the track for the Michelin tyres to deal with, and a pretty tidy opening. Oh, and as I say that, I've cursed it, and it's the one and only Porsche in the race this weekend. Substantial right front damage for Team Hardpoint EBM and Rob Ferriol, and it's a full course yellow straight away. The Richard Mille car in the wall, and that looked like substantial damage. And the right front of that car, and I was just about to say to Jeremy, we've had a reasonably tidy, little bit of bumping and barging, but a reasonably tidy front end, and that, I'm afraid, for the car that carries the champion Porsche famous name on its hood and inside the car, that is day over. Looks like may have been a breakage or maybe a little bit of help, as that car has come to a grinding halt, I'm afraid, at right in the middle of the far side of the circuit. Now, Jeremy Shaw is already working out who wins here. I think this will be a short yellow. We're inside the first 15 minutes of the race, Jeremy, but this is going to close everybody back up again.
Yeah, it is, and the gainer out of this will be Aaron Telitz, who's made a fantastic start in that number 14 Vassar Sullivan Lexus up from the back of the field in the 20th position, now up to 14th, up to 6th in the class. He was able to take advantage of that into the first turn 3 of the first lap. Just made another pass last time around, managed to get past the number 66 car, that's Till Bechtelsheimer. So now he's able to haul up onto the tail of that 6 car train, that it will be pretty much for the lead in GTD. So good effort there by Aaron Telitz in the early stages.
Let's see if we can work out what happened. Yeah, there was contact there, and it was another AMG that was involved.
Yeah. Michael De Quesada dives down the inside, goes in a bit deep, comes back on the racetrack, and Rob Ferriol, I'm not quite sure what he's thinking there, because he must have seen that he just left no room for the Mercedes on the right-hand side, and Rob Ferriol, I'm afraid, wasn't paying attention. That was a really unfortunate incident that really didn't need to happen.
Got half the job done with the cutback, but then didn't leave enough room on the right-hand side. Coming out of, where's that? That's turn 8, isn't it? 8, 9, yeah.
5, I think, wasn't it?
Oh, really? Okay.
Was it not?
No, I'll go with you, Jeremy. I'm just looking at the track here. Has 88 stopped in between 8 and 9? But
does it? I beg your pardon.
Yeah, no. But that's Jeep.
It says 6 on the race control chat.
I'll take that. That was throwing me out before. I have a red flashing 88 right in the middle of turns 9 and 10 on the tracker.
Yes.
But anyway, we're down at 9.
I'm pretty sure the
No, you're right. It was at turn 5 in the short run between 5 and 6, and that's it's a short shoot, but it's a quick one, and it's a really important run to turn 6, because then you've got that long curving run with the river on your left-hand side, all the way down to the overtaking opportunity at turn 7 into the right-hand into that complex. So 90 minutes to go. Hello to all of you who are tuned in around the world. RSL with you with IMSA Radio on RS2, and of course in sound and vision with no blocks or no bricks, should I say, if you are out in a territory that does not have network television. Then you could be tuning in, and if you are on the radio at the moment and you have the bandwidth and you're not driving, because we don't want you watching on your phone while you're in the car, then by all means head across to IMSARadio.com. That's the home for all of our IMSA Radio content. The archive's all there from previous races going all the way back to and feature programs as well, of course. IMSARadio.com, your home for all of the IMSA content, IMSA racing content on the web, including that live video. Well done to Track Services and Recovery. They're already there with Rob Ferriel's car. With Rob Ferriel's Team Hardpoint ABM car. And in fact, it's already been winched up onto the back of the flat bed. Now, this is going to burn a bit of race time. The clock's still ticking, of course, Jeremy, and everybody will be watching very carefully. And you can bet your bottom dollar that the drivers will be told to save as much fuel as they can right now.
Yeah, absolutely right. It's but you said it earlier on. We are within 15 minutes of the start of the race, so this will be what they call a short yellow. The pits will not be opened during this caution period. You can make a pit stop when we go back to green, but not until then.
Adam, another point on this short yellow?
Well, you mentioned it earlier on, the drive times, the minimum drive times for this weekend, they are important to pay attention to, but they are different because it's only a 100-minute race. So when we go back to green, the pro cars can all dive into the pit lane. 5 minutes has elapsed to this race. As a matter of fact, 11 minutes have elapsed to this race. But 5 minutes was the minimum time for the DPIs and the GTLMs. For GTD, you have to get to 30 minutes this weekend, so 10 minutes fewer than we normally have. In GTD, though, you can do 50 minutes and 50 minutes, breaking this up into a two-segment race, one pit stop. If you come in after 30 minutes, well, 70 minutes on a tank of fuel is quite a bit of an ask. So the teams have been looking up and down, well, what are they going to do? A two-stop race and put their faster driver in earlier on? A lot of the teams that I've talked to, John, are planning to do it 50 and 50 and just go for a normal sort of stop, but still do 2 tires. So that's what's going to be interesting. And by the way, I've just gotten a text from Race Control. The start was reviewed. NFA, no action taken. So they deemed it to be clean.
Adam with that VP Racing Fuel pit and paddock report. Such a short race, I'll mention this now. Checkered flag ends the contest but only starts the conversation. We'll continue after we wrap up things with our TV colleagues on IMSA TV. And thanks, by the way, to NASCAR Productions up in Charlotte and all of our NBCSN colleagues trackside this weekend. Been a big effort to get this running, as ever, on a temporary circuit. But we'll continue on RS2 after the race with Michelin Countdown to Green. Your points are rising, questions, things that you've noticed. Maybe you just want to sound off about something. Well, that's fine too. It's been a while since we've been IMSA racing, so if there's something you've been wanting to put on your get off your chest for a little while, then please do. Use the hashtag MichelinPRT and get that into IMSA Radio, at IMSA Radio, hashtag MichelinPRT. And we'll let you drive the editorial, as ever, on Michelin Post-Race Tech straight after the show, after the race today. So the countdown clock is coming down, just under an hour and 27 minutes to go, and this full course yellow will be over in a moment because there are a couple of opts that the recovery truck can get out of, and indeed already has done, taking the shortcut to the back of the paddock round the signature fountain area on the immaculately kept infield. 55 Mazda then ready to restart. Harry Tincknell will not be happy at being elbowed down by the Cadillacs to 4th position after starting off in 2nd place on the outside of the front row. We're going to go for one more lap under yellow behind the safety car. Hello to all of you who are listening in on the public address system around beautiful Belle Isle, and thanks to our IMSA technical team, Tyler Norling and the rest of the gang, for making all the right connections. Literally we are talking about here, as well as metaphorically with the individuals at the track itself, so that we're out there on the PA, and of course up in London to Kerry Kescob, who is engineering our sound to the rest of the world. It's the usual NASCAR production team. Jake is looking after us tonight. Alex back up at Charlotte. So thank you very much for all the help that is going on, and that extends of course to our volunteers, whether they're helping to park your cars here at the track, whether they are checking your tickets, or whether they are waving a flag, affording medical attention, or indeed cleaning up the debris from errant race drivers. We simply can't go motor racing without you. I often say not all heroes wear capes, but some of them wave flags. Thank you very much indeed for your help. Safety car lights are out on a very purposeful looking safety car, which heads into turns 7, 8 and 9. One of the new Cadillac V Series, which just seem to get better and better, and I would think is perfectly adequate for the duties to which it has been assigned this weekend. It'll be under an hour and 24 minutes to go when Kevin Magnussen comes back to what will be the green flag. Has to keep a sensible speed, can't speed up and slow down. He's still weaving to clean off, as well as try and put a bit of heat in the Michelin slick tyres. It's his choice when to go. Waiting for the green flag, coming through to turn 14. I suspect it'll be just after the apex of turn 14. He's backed up in the top 6. They'll have to start line astern, waiting for the green flag, through the kink and down towards the green flag, and another good restart by the Chip Ganassi Racing driver in that grey Cadillac, leading the red and white number 31 Whelan car in second place. Then Tristan Vautier for Mustang Sampling in the dark grey car. The two Corvettes go through. Jordan Taylor ahead of Nick Tandy, 3 from 4. Highstand holds on to the lead in GT Daytona, but it's got a real challenge here as Frankie Montecalvo and the Vassar Sullivan RCF tries to come down the inside, but he had to back out of it. He was being pressured by the number 1, and that is the Paul Miller racing car. Remember, this is the car that had to have an engine change earlier on in the week, and they beat their own extraordinarily quick record by a full hour, changing the Lamborghini V10 motor in the middle of that car. Turner BMW right in behind the number 23 Heart of Racing Aston as they head out onto the long run down to turn 7. Another great restart by K-Mag at the front of the field. Jeremy Shaw.
It was indeed a nice restart there, and a change of position at turn 3 amongst the Corvettes. Nick Tandy was able to squeak past Jordan Taylor. There was a lot of defensive driving going on down there at turn 3, not so much amongst the Corvettes, and Nick Tandy, I think, took advantage of that. Oops, there's a spin for, that's the leading Lexus, that's Frankie Montecalvo.
That was from second. That was from second place in GTD, yep. Jeremy, the green number 2 on the side of that car, and he is in.
Turn 8.
Yeah, he is in that difficult area. I'm not sure where he's going. He's gone behind the wall. I think that might be it. Is he trying to find reverse? Yes, he is. He's going to turn around, but he couldn't do the flick turn, and these cars don't have a lot of steering lock. He's going to lose a huge amount of ground. He was pressuring the Audi for the lead and just, lost it. Did he get a little tap from behind, or did he just lose it on the brakes going in to turn number 8?
Answers that question.
We have evidence, ladies and gentlemen, which we will put before the bench, that the number 1 of Madison Snow, who made up some ground and now finds himself in second place, might have been just a little nudge there, Jeremy.
Yeah, afraid so. He was trying to squeeze his nose in there. That's an awfully difficult place to pass. I think he's going to be lucky if he doesn't get a penalty for that one. That was a bit unnecessary. It was all super tight in there. And at this point in the race, you've just got to be patient. Madison Snow's been around the sport long enough. He's a former champion in this class, so he knows what it takes to win championships, and quite frankly, that's probably not the best way to do it.
Shea Adam has a BP Racing Fuel update, this time not from the pit nor the paddock, it's from Race Control.
Yep, up from Race Control. Incident involving cars 66, 19, 67, 76, no action. That was the incident we saw earlier on with the Jeff Kingsley Acura. And then incident involving cars 88, the Hardpoint Porsche, and 28. That would be the Allegra Mercedes. No action. So far, Race Control is staying fairly quiet.
Yeah, and you know what? They've looked at it, they've made the decision, and as we often say, sometimes no call is the right call. The number 88 Rob Ferriel car certainly came off the worst there. That's almost in some respects, Jeremy, you would say that was self-penalising. It wasn't the smartest thing to do, and there may be a quiet word had in the shell light later, but race control have looked at that one and they've made the decision. So at the front of the field, K-Mag has cleared off just a little bit. 2.4 seconds from Pipo Derani. 1:24.1, the best lap of the race. Temperatures still toasty, at least. Humidity is the big nightmare here this weekend. Still up over 60%, 65% at the moment. And that was really giving some of the IndyCar drivers racing for the first time here with the aero screen, of course, some issues. Earlier on in their very much extended 70-lap race. They'll be back to do it again tomorrow. Looking forward to sitting down and watching qualifying and the race after the 8 hours of Portimao tomorrow, which we have over on RS1, part of the Radio Show Limited network of channels, the sister service to IMSA Radio. That's all live and free as well. Bruce Jones and Johnny Palmer, our voice of the WEC, will be taking you through that with America's own race team Glickenhaus in competition for the first time in that 8-hour race as they plan their road to Le Mans. They'll be at Monza with 2 cars and then 2 cars at Le Mans, 1 car this weekend for Jim Glickenhaus and the rest of the team. And Richard Westbrook among the drivers there this weekend, well known to fans here in the IMSA. That's over on RS1 tomorrow. If you go to radio-show.co.uk, scroll at the bottom, you'll get all the times. Penalties coming, Shea Adam. I was waiting for that to happen. That was why I was doing the programme trail. I thought it couldn't be too far away.
Yep, it didn't take very long. Incident responsibility with the 12, drive-through for Madison Snow and the Paul Miller Racing Lamborghini. Can't say we're surprised about that one. Not
our international surprised face, and that red, white and black number 1 will be into the pit lane shortly. I'm not sure there's much that can be said about that, and certainly the video evidence up in race control was fairly damning for Madison. A little bit impetuous.
I think a little bit unlucky, John, just in the fact there was kind of a sort of an accordion effect.
Correct.
There, and I think it kind of caught him by surprise a little bit. So certainly it was nothing malicious from Madison Snow.
No.
But at the same time, he really should have just tucked in behind rather than poking his nose down the inside. But that's just one of the things that's going to happen in these sort of short street circuits, and it's unfortunate for both those 2 cars involved. Of course, number 12 for getting spun around, and now for the penalty for the number 1 car as well. That number 1 car has had good success here in the past, been on the podium twice in 17 and 18 with Madison Snow and Brian Sellers, and also Brian finished 5th here last time out in 2019 as well. That was actually with Richard Highstand, who leads the class right now for that car barn with Peregrine Racing Team in the Audi.
Yeah, and he's led effectively since the green flag, in and through and out of the pits for the number 1 Lamborghini. Heads back out onto the circuit. Took it as quickly as possible. Sorry, go ahead, Jeremy. Oh, was that you, Shea? Sorry. No, it was Jeremy. He's dropped a whole load of time and just squeezed up the inside. Those curbs there at turn number 8, Jeremy, are so high that you can't get on them even if you want to. It was an ever-closing door for Madison there. And so the penalty served. He's got to get that out of his head now and just try and drive back. He's just coming to the same point of the circuit now, whereas the leader in the class is going through turn number 12. So he's not actually dropped an awful lot. You don't lose as much real estate as I thought by going through the pit lane. Meantime, Jeremy, new fastest lap of the race at the sharp end of the field, and it's another Cadillac that's taken the quickest lap.
Indeed it is. It's a Pipo Derani, 122.9 by the second place car. That gap had extended out to about almost 3 seconds, or 2.5 seconds at least, but it's now come down again, just over a second between the first two. The lap record run here, the race lap record, was set by Felipe Nasr last time out here. This was 2 years ago, of course, by Felipe Nasr, 22.9, so we're still a couple of seconds away from that. I think fuel save is still going on there right now, and they're going to try and hope that if there is another caution, then the prototype cars should be able to get there on one pit stop, but they'll be hoping, if they can, to try and make that happen. It's going to be interesting to see now what happens over the next few laps, whether somebody decides they're going to go for it. There's a new fastest lap this time round by the race leader Kevin Magnussen, 1:22.0.
Bit of a squeeze coming from Ricky Taylor on the number 12. That's the delayed Frankie Montecalvo Vassar Sullivan Lexus RCF GT3. Some new product coming down the pipes for Lexus. Still very much unfinished business. The man at the head of TRD, who looks after Lexus Racing, David Wilson, on our Midweek Motorsport programme a couple of weeks ago now. And they are looking forward to get some new GT product out there that will be more suitable, perhaps, my words, not his, to a customer-facing GT programme. Also, he did say it is his absolute dream to get Lexus in on the grid with an LMDH. And good news this week for John Doonan and the president of IMSA and the rest of the organisation. BMW North America very much wanting to get involved in that, and struck a partnership with Dallara, who up until now have been partnered with General Motors. We had thought there might have been an announcement from GM this weekend, being so close to their corporate headquarters they wouldn't have needed even to send a fax to here. They could have just shouted it out the window, couldn't they? But that announcement about which of their brands will be the LMDH partner still to come, and whether they continue with Dallara or move to another chassis manufacturers. With BMW in 2023, and I well remember, as Jeremy will, the awesome V12 LMRs that were kept racing for a good couple of seasons by BMW North America when their counterparts in Europe had decided it was time to put them to bed and put a sheet over them in the museum in Munich. But they raced in what was then the American Le Mans Series for a couple of seasons, financed by BMW North America. And word on the street from our contacts in Germany is that this has very much been looked at as a North American focused program, but of course with the new regulations they will expect to take that car to Le Mans and compete in what is effectively the global prototype class. Number 10 did get a warning for that little squeeze on the Frank Montecalvo driven Vassar Sullivan Lexus. That was Ricky Taylor. The prototype just moving over in the braking area, which we've seen happen many times, Jeremy, and that was a good spot by race control. Not bad enough to elicit a penalty, but it's basically saying, come on, you've had your one, keep an eye on your mirrors.
Yeah, good point. And you talked about it's fantastic news about BMW making that commitment to LMDH, and you talked about GM. I happen to know, or little birdie tells me, that Chip Ganassi was involved in not one, but not two, not three, but even 4 meetings with various GM people before the track activities got underway here this weekend. So, I'm sure there's a lot of talk going on there. It would be wonderful to have, yes, another manufacturer involved for 2023. 2023 seems an awful long time away right now, doesn't it? But I tell you what, it's going to be worth waiting for.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And it is no surprise that Chip Ganassi wants a slice of the action. Came back into IMSA Racing with the Cadillacs and is leading the race here. And surely there can be no better advertisement than a rookie driver at this track and in this class, in the shape of Special K, Kevin Magnussen, taking pole position and leading the race. I know Chip's got a fantastic record in all kinds of racing, but he does love his sports cars, and you don't have to spend, Shadam, an awful lot of time with Mr. Ganassi to realise that he just frankly can't stay away from this, and if there's manufacturing involvement, he wants to be involved in it. He wants to win races.
Yep, for the Chip Ganassi Racing, a very successful program with the big man's name over the door. And he stayed away for a season of IMSA racing, and it wasn't even a full season before we found out that he was going to be coming back to us. So Chip Ganassi loves winners, he loves winning, and he loves IMSA. He's pretty good in it, but it's kind of remarkable. The 01 Chip Ganassi Cadillac, the only DPi that has run all year without getting a podium. I really hope that changes today.
Well, they're in the best place for it. They can dictate the tactics and what's going on at the moment. It's been a beautiful 17-lap opening stint so far. 2.5 seconds from what is almost looks like a primer grey car. It's actually quite a flat silver when you see it in person. K-Mag leading then from Derani in second. It's the number 31 red and white car. Tristan Vautier another 6 seconds further back. 3 Cadillacs first, second and third. And as Jeremy points out to me, no podium for the Chip Ganassi racing car, but 3 fastest laps this season already. Close battle for Harry Tincknell as he's closed up again on Tristan Vautier. That's the battle for third and fourth position. But at the moment, it's traffic time. Porsche keys to the race. You're going to have to deal with it, and you've got to make those perfect passes quite often against cars that are having their own battles, like the number 96 Turner BMW. Robbie Foley, who's got Aaron Thielitz absolutely in his wheel tracks in the Lexus RCF GT3. They're battling over the final step on the GTD podium in 11th and 12th overall, and they've got faster DPi traffic coming by them. And now, in fact, it's the leader of GTD, Robbie Heistand, who's got the leader of the race behind him. And Derani's closed right up. It's now down to just on a second. It's not even that now as they come out of turn 10 and 11. And the leaders are absolutely together. Magnussen caught that at absolutely the wrong time. And now he's under pressure. Comes through turn number 12 and 13. And Derani's right there. There's a sniff of blood here. An opportunity maybe for Pipo Derani. And the young Brazilian was on that very quickly indeed. Jeremy saw a chance and tried to close in, but Magnussen seems to have weathered the storm as he goes through 1 and 2.
Yeah, good heads-up drive there by Magnussen. He was just patient. He made the move when he could. That past that GTD class leader, and he's able to extend that advantage again. But you know, he's still relatively new, obviously, to sports car racing. But he's got the speed, he's got the experience in racing terms, so he knows exactly what to do. As we see the first 2 contenders making their first pit stops in GTD. Number 76 car Compass Racing is into the pits, as is the third place car, Robbie Foley, in the Turner Motorsport BMW.
Yeah, so the McLaren, the BMW in, Shea Adam with the VP Racing Fuel pit and paddock report. Now, I'm not a strategist, but with just under an hour and 8 minutes, 68 minutes to go, that's an interesting call, Shea Adam. What went on there?
It is. They did a 2-tire stop and took on a full-ish load of fuel because, of course, we've only had 33 minutes of this race elapsed. I was not expecting to see the sprint and overall championship leaders into the pit so early. But Robbie and Bill Oberlin have been practicing their driver changes to try and get it down to under 14 seconds to get that stop done. And they did. Also into the pit lane, as was noted, the 76 Jeff Kingsley for Compass Racing. It's now Super Mario Farnbacher, who has a super record around this track. They too did 2 tires, and it is 2 tires for the Lexus, left sides only for the number 12 Frank Montecalvo out of that car. And it is Townsend Bell, who has been a busy boy so far today, talking about race cars. Well, now he gets to go drive one.
Yeah, and he was pretty good in qualifying yesterday. He remembered what the day job was and did a pretty good job. So now they have rolled the dice, and Porsche keys to the race was strategy. They've got to be hoping, Shea, those early stoppers, for some yellow. Got to be.
They will not make it to the end without some yellow, but now we've got more cars into the pit lane. Madison Snow is back in once again. He'll be handing over to Brian Sellers 2 tires for Paul Miller Racing. And it is Gradient Racing in as well. Till Bechtelsheimer in the 66, bringing in that Acura from the 7th place on the racetrack, handing over to the only Michigan native driver, and the driver who still calls Michigan home, Mark Miller, for driving responsibilities in that green Acura. So keep an eye on the 66 because Mark Miller knows how to go well at Belle Isle, but his only experience comes in the form of Trans Am cars around here. Those bias ply tires are just a little bit different from the Michelins.
Yeah, that he's going to find life a wee bit easier, but he will be moving a bit quicker in places as well. Steve Tabman asking if there'll be any daylight issues here, as the little bit of a problem in the pit lane a moment or two ago for the number 76 McLaren, but the front wheel man doing, well, the front wheel gun man doing a good job at regaining his balance and continuing with the job. Steve, I think we'll be all right. We've got just over an hour to go, and although the shadows are getting long here, the weather forecast is getting better and better, and we still have very little cloud, so we still have sunshine. New fastest lap of the race before we go back this year. Jeremy, who's quickest at the moment?
Yeah, Kevin Magnussen, 1:21.036 for Kevin Magnussen, just a tenth of a second away from the lap record set by Felipe Nasr 2 years ago, and he's extended that lead now to over 2 seconds over second place. As we see Aaron Telitz come in to the pits from third position, a brilliant first stint by the young Wisconsinite. He'll hand over that car, number 14. They've had no luck at all this season or the end of last year to Jack Hawksworth in car number 14.
They go out with a wide exit, not like the Indy cars were doing earlier on today. That's because they go through the RFID reader. Michelin have electronic devices in all of the tyres. It's come from road technology, actually, been used for a lot of years in heavy goods vehicles, in truck tyres, and by that I mean like semis, for those of you who understand what I'm talking about, to keep a record of what's been going on with those tyres. Well, they're used here to keep a check to make sure nobody uses more than their allocation over the weekend, and also so that Shea can tell us how many tyres they took. Was that another 2 tyre stop we were watching?
For the Lexus, it was left sides only. Now we're watching the Carbon stop. Oh, this is fascinating. Okay, Jeff Westphal is getting in. Richard Highstand getting out. No tires for the Audi. That is very interesting because everybody else so far has done tires, and that's what the Aston Martin is doing as well. The Heart of Racing, Roman DeAngelis handing over to Ross Gunn. It was fuel only for Jeff Westphal, but they are slow leaving the box. They've lost about 3 seconds when the fuel probe came out to when the car actually got moving once again. And we are now down to 63 minutes remaining in the race. We've also got into the pit lane, the 19, Misha Goikberg handing over to Marco Mappelli for the GRT Lamborghini, and Kenny Habul handing over to Mikhail Grenier in the Mercedes for Sun Energy One.
Yeah, very interesting then. And the tyres, it's always part of our Porsche keys to the race. Carbon have rolled that particular dice, and they reckon their 4 Michelins on which they started the race, on which they qualified yesterday, they are going to go for another 62.5 minutes, and so is their new driver, and that's Ross Gunn, Aston Martin Works driver across from the UK. He's been doing great work, and he's back out on the track in that Aston Martin. Jeff Westphal in the Carbon with Peregrine Racing. That's the car with the tyres that have done the whole race and qualifying yesterday. So there is the dice rolled. Carbon got out ahead. So is that everybody in GTD done now for that first round of stops?
Yep, by my calculations, that is everybody, and GTD is going to need a little bit of yellow to make it to the end.
I think they can stretch it out to that just about, Shea, on this track. It's not the hardest track on fuel consumption. I think they should be okay from there. They'll certainly have to take care of it, however. You're absolutely right.
Even the guys who came in with 68 to go, Jeremy, really?
68 to go. Was it 68 to go?
68 minutes. That was
minutes for Jeff Kings for the Acura from Compass Racing and the Turner Motorsports BMW. 67 minutes to go for the 12 Lexus, and then 66 minutes to go for the 66, which is easy to remember.
Just before those stops, by the way, the Aston Martin of Roman DeAngelis did set the fastest lap of the race in GTD. He was hanging there right with Richard Highstand. Those two just a second apart before they came into the pits. A bit more than that gap between them now after they have resumed.
It's Jeremy Shaw. He's in the Hagerty Global Broadcast Centre with me, John Hindhoff. Shea Adams, our VP Racing Fuel Pit Paddock, and race control correspondent this weekend. Coming down to an hour to go. And Jeremy Shaw, your thoughts on a quick fire first 40 minutes of the Chevrolet Sports Car Classic here on Belle Isle?
Yeah, really interesting first 40 minutes in this race, and Kevin Magnussen's not put a foot wrong at the front, turning some super fast laps. He's pretty much controlling the pace. It's interesting to me how much of the differential is between the top two and the rest. Harry Tincknell has finally found a way past Tristan Vautier. I guess he must have done that a couple of laps ago. I missed that, but he is now up into third position. So he desperately needed to do that because Vautier had fallen about 13 seconds behind the second place car, and the Mazda